Fresh and
All right, welcome back to another episode of Fresh and Buds. I'm your host, Tommy Fresh, and you are all of my buds. And today we are being joined by Kappolo, aka Notorious Biagi, an OG bud from way back in the day. And as many of you know, Kappolo is a Mechanologist fiend, and we are in the midst of mech season right now with bright lights and some crazy decks coming out of the Calling Melbourne. So we're going to get his thoughts on all of that, as well as, you know, we're just going to hang out and have a good time and catch up. It's going to be a great time. But before we get to that, I want to shout out the Patreon, which you can find in the show notes, and as well as some links for things like the Buds Discord and the YouTube and the Twitter and all the things that really help support the show. It's a great way to help, you know, get this Fresh and Buds thing to the top. That's where we want to be. So all of it helps. Please check it out in the show notes. And yeah, stick around. Maybe a word from Charmer at the end. But without further ado, before we even get to that, here is Kappolo. All right, folks, buds, and other such peoples that listen to the show, we are joined yet again by Kappolo, aka the Notorious Biagi. What is up, my friend? How are you?
Hey Tommy, thanks for having me again on the show. I'm doing great. Life has been pretty busy with non-gaming related stuff, but overall, I've been really great. How have you been?
I'm okay. I am also very busy with, unfortunately, non-gaming related stuff. But you know what? We are adults and we live adult lives and have real jobs and both have fiancés, both getting married. That's very exciting. You know, are you going to beat me to it? When are you getting married?
September 1st.
You are going to beat me. That's because you like to go fast. You like to boost a lot because you are the mech expert. I'm gonna call you
Expert.
We're you know, we're gonna talk about some Mechanologist stuff because you know what? Let's be honest. I'm not the guy to talk about it, right? So I got to bring on the experts here, the mexperts, which you are. But before we do get to the Mechanologists and what is going on with them, because we saw some crazy stuff happen at the Calling Melbourne, and which I've heard it's pronounced Melbourne. Have you ever heard that?
Yeah.
Maybe
that's what I've heard from my Australian friends.
Well, see, I got to talk to more Australian people, I guess. But we have a great show for you. But before we get to that, we're both doing well. We're both busy, but we also make content. We're both content creators. This is probably a huge time for you with bright lights and everything. You got a spoiler card. It's been crazy. How is the content world treating you?
It's been, because of real life, quite slow. I had the spoiler video, which was awesome to have, and I feel like I did a decent job with the video, and Greg helped with the edit, so that was really useful. So thank you, Greg. And then after that, I've done only 2 videos so far. One was like explaining how the evos work, all the tips and tricks, like interaction, like you can swap out before the blade break resolves after damage, and just some tricks on how to play with evos. And then I did a deck tech with my hybrid dash that I took to a ProQuest. And I'm planning to do a data doll video. I did a video for my Patreon just discussing every single item in the game and just kind of explaining my reasoning why if it's good or bad in data doll. And I wrote down the whole script for the video. Just need to find some time to actually record it.
Well, there's a lot more items now than there was 2 months ago. So I'm sure that's a very, very long video, but that's good. we like long videos. We like set reviews. We like talking about cards, and that's good. I'm glad. I mean, hey, listen, even with being busy, putting out a couple videos is not for nothing, right?
Yeah, takes a lot of time. Also, I decided to invest on the Adobe products, and I done like my last three videos with them, and also with Photoshop, and it's quite a learning curve. They're quite complex, but I feel like the freedom of doing whatever you actually want to do in respect and using other video editing software is so much better, that I've been really enjoying with them. But it takes much more time because I don't know anything about the program. So it's like, how do I move an image in the video? And let me Google that, and then like watch a YouTube tutorial to move an image inside the video. It's like, so it's been crazy, but yes, I've been enjoying so far.
Yeah, I also moved to Adobe Premiere Pro when Greg had to take a step away from editing, and it's a great program for anybody listening that's interested in content. I would check it out, right? Maybe start with like a free program, and then if you think that you can benefit from something a little bit more, professional, Premiere Pro, I would check it out. But I feel like I'm, like a car, right? You can drive a car, but there's like all these different buttons and like different symbols that will pop up on your dashboard or whatever. I feel like with Premiere Pro, I just know how to drive the car. I don't even know how to change the channel on the radio, if that makes sense. So I'm just doing just enough to be able to edit. It's very hard. The editing's hard. And
Yes.
so is that Sarkin?
Yeah, Sarka.
Is that name from a different game?
Yes.
Well, for the listeners, a cat just jumped on screen. So all the more reason to check out the YouTube, both of our YouTubes. Now, let's talk about Flesh and Blood trading card game, the new classic TCG. Today, the day that we're recording, the banned and suspended list was announced, as well as changes to LL. So, what happened in the banned and suspended list? Well, for CC, the only thing that happened is everything. The one thing we knew was going to happen was, since Lexi has moved on to the Living Legend realm, we got Bullseye Bracers back, which is very exciting for for Riptide and Azalea. So we finally are no longer paying for the sins of Lexi in those decks. And then in Blitz, Chain, which apparently, I don't play a lot of Blitz, but apparently Chain has been really tearing it up in the Blitz world. So they banned or suspended Soul Reaping, which is an excellent card. Which I remember when I played my first Road to Nats with Chain, I asked the judge, "Hey, does this work this way? Because it seems so good." And the judge was like,
broken.
"Yeah." The judge was like, "Yes, it's really good." And I was like, "Man, it is." And now it's moved on to being suspended now. What are your thoughts on? You play a little bit more Blitz than me. What are your thoughts on the suspension there?
I mean, Chen is really good in Blitz. We have a couple of local players that, when they want to try hard, they bring Chain, but they play other decks. And I don't know if like Soul Reaping is a powerful card, but I don't think it's gonna change too much of like Chain's gameplay. Of course, like having a free 6 attack that gives you a resource is it's good. But then like I feel like maybe half of the time you just like banish it from the Soul Shackle abilities. So it's good when you have it, but it's not, you don't have it every game. So maybe it's like 50-50, you have it every game, but then when you have it, it's powerful. But I mean, Chain's probably gonna get to Living Legends soon, probably.
Well, yeah. Well, with the new changes to the Living Legends format, or not format, Living Legends, the way they give points, they've increased points on most of the things. PTI events went from like 4 to something. Battle Hardens,
410.
yeah, 4 to 10. Battle Hardens got bumped up, I believe. Worlds
From
got
10 to
bumped up.
40.
Yeah.
Yeah, Words and PT from 200 to 300, and Skirmish from 2 to 4.
So we're gonna start seeing heroes living legend at a relatively quicker rate than we had seen it before. Now, this is not the first time they've changed the points that are given out. So the way I'm reading it is now, it could be up for debate here, but I think that they will probably do this often depending on what they think is coming down the pipes and how many events they see on the horizon. If they feel like things are starting to move a little too fast, I feel like they might change it back at some point. What do you think about that?
I feel like the main reasoning of making the Living Legend format faster is because they release like 15 heroes per year or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And like maybe 1 or 2 gets to Living Legend. And probably they want to keep the pool of heroes that are available also small for their playtesting. Maybe, I don't know, that's kind of maybe a tinfoil hat like theory, but if you have, because you don't want to like test with like 100 different heroes like when you release something new, and it's gonna be hard to like see what's good and what's bad when you have to test too much. But yeah, also it gives like a bit of like freshness to having the things like rotate. You can, of course, it's gonna suck if your like main hero is gonna go away, but you have so many to pick from. Like every 3 months we get from like 3 to 4 heroes in the pool, and you can just find something new. And also, if they keep going with like old class sets like they did with Mechanologist, probably it's like next set is gonna be, you're gonna probably have a new Brute, a new Guardian, and a new Warrior. So it's like if your favorite warrior goes away, all of your like cards are still maybe good, and you can play with those in like the new heroes. So it's like, I mean, this, we have a lot of rotation like in other formats that they just, in other games that they just like, let's play with the last 2 years or the last 5 or whatever, and your cards are gonna go away too. So it's like, I don't know. I feel like it's a good change to keep it fresh. Also, the band game, like a while back, they announced that they wanted to have only 18 months of cards in the standard, which I was super excited because standard was getting like boring. But now they like reverted back. Now it's the last 3 years, and it's like, this doesn't sound fun.
Well, it is interesting, and like maybe the tinfoil hat theory is not the most out of control theory. That you do have to think about manpower and all that when you're in development and testing. I mean, can get out of control when there are so many heroes, and obviously they still have to touch on it because of the Living Legends format. But I also think that probably it becomes overwhelming when there's so many hero choices that it's awesome when you have a lot of heroes that are playable in like a competitive format, but it can also end up being a real discouragement for competitive players when they show up to the tournament and you can't even really prepare for everything, right? Like you never really can, but like if there are so many heroes that are decent enough that you could see in your 10 rounds 10 different heroes, just because there's so many heroes still not living legend, it could end up being a negative experience at the tournament. So maybe that's what they're also trying to avoid. I'm not sure though. We don't work for them. Not yet anyway.
No.
Please answer my emails. Now you mentioned the possibility of other sets being a lot like Bright Lights and all mech set. Now I am on the side of the fence that I don't think that will happen again, at least not for a long time, just based on what I've seen in terms of the response to bright lights. Not that it's been bad, but it's hard to get excited about a set, like a large swath of the community to get excited about a set if you can't even play with the new cards in your favorite like deck or whatever. Sure, they have the expansion slot or whatever, but you know, like for example, Brute or no. Well, for example, Wizard got the new card that pings the intelligence. It's a cool card, but is it really that playable? Maybe in Icelander, but I don't think we're see play there. So how have you found the Bright Lights mech set to be as a mech fan, and can you see how some people might not be super stoked about just being able to play mech for like a couple months?
Even as a mech fan, I felt like it was a weird set because like, oh, I'm gonna like improve my dash deck so much, and then it's like I can maybe put 2 of the new cards into dash.
Yeah.
Because it was like most focused like on the new heroes, which is understandable. But yeah, in the beginning I was excited when I heard all the mech sets. Then after the spoilers, like I really don't want any of these cards in my dash deck. And then after like I realized, okay, these are not for the original dash. These are like for the new heroes. And then I thought, oh, this is exciting. I can like try out Dash.io or Teklovas and the new cards work better with them. So I went from really high to really low to average high, I guess.
With that, I mean, it does have a lot of fun toys, and like I guess there probably is something there for OG Dash, but you know, and we'll get to that after the fresh faves. But yeah, I can see that, right? Like, because it's hard if you like really love Dash, like Inventor Extraordinaire. It's not a set for her. It's a set for Dash.io, which is totally fine. We're going to talk about Dash.io or Dash.io as Taylor Morrow was calling it on the Attack Action podcast. But it's interesting. Bright Lights is interesting. It was definitely a big bet, that's for sure, for LSS to do the all mech set, and you kind of want that out of a company. I think that they're willing to take chances, but you can't take too many chances because, you know, all of a sudden you lose players and you don't want to lose that. So it has set up for an interesting ProQuest season, which I think a lot of us expected Lexi to be the deck, but we saw a lot of Dromai with the new tome. How has your ProQuest season gone so far?
So I played only in one because life. I played the original Dash with the addition of 1 adaptive plating, 3 twin drives, and 3 underloops. That's the only new cards from the set. I was considering to play with Firewall, but then I decided not to. And I made top 8. I lost 1 round in Swiss to Dorinthia. It had crazy attack that it went over double sing below and an unmovable.
Oh my god!
So, and then top 8, and then just face Lexi and decided to raise her, and they had like the right answers every time, and I just got owned in top 8. But I had a lot of fun, and there were like some ProQuest going on. Like, I think they just ended the ProQuest season like yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been just following along like local players, and just we got like 3 gold foil like came to San Diego from the 5 ProQuest in Southern California, and yeah, that was pretty good from like, because San Diego was kind of in the Southern California meta was like it's like the newest community. It started like much after the other ones, and it's kind of nice to see like new players. Also, we had addition of like a guy that just started 3 weeks ago playing Fab, and he got almost top 8 in 2 ProQuests.
Damn.
And
All right.
then a guy that started maybe a month and a half ago, played only Blitz, and picked up Dromai and actually won one of the ProQuests.
Well, that is good news for the game, right? Because that has been a complaint for, years, that like the barrier of entry can be a little bit steep sometimes. But, it sounds like, this is obviously purely anecdotal, but you have some folks in your community, putting in the work and almost in some cases converting, and other cases almost converting, which is pretty cool. Now, you only played a CC ProQuest. Now, I know that you said life gets in the way, which I understand. Would you have liked to have played a limited ProQuest, or how have you found this set to be for the limited gameplay?
I have one pre-release of experience in limited. That's all I was able to play. The store where I usually could play, because it's close by, closed down. And they were doing a lot of drafts when the new set came out. And right now there's like, I've done 0 drafts, which I wish I could have done a ProQuest in draft just to actually experience the draft, because I really want to. But like with the store closing down, another store had to move their armory from Saturday, where they were able to do drafts, to take the spot of the other one on Tuesday evening, but the store closes at 8, so they don't have enough time to actually do a draft. So yeah, and those are the 2 stores close to me, so I was sadly not able to do a draft. I hope to do a draft before the new set comes out.
I think you have some time. Well, you'll there's got to be some drafts fired at some point in the next 2 months.
Yeah.
I would hope though. I will say I only got to draft at my pre-release, like afterwards, right? We had some extra packs. We just like drafted it, and then I drafted at my ProQuest because my armory hasn't been firing, and even when it does fire, we don't get enough for a draft. So, it's tough. It's tough. This was supposed to be the big limited set, and it sucks to hear that, a lot of folks aren't able to draft it as much, but that's neither here nor there. I'm excited to see what the limited experience is for the World's players next week. Now, you have a home state pro tour, Los Angeles. How excited are you for that? And do you have any big plans for PTLA?
I'm excited it's close by. I'm not excited depending on where in LA is. If it's LA downtown, I'm not excited to go there. Yeah. Hotels are expensive, parking is extremely expensive, traffic is really bad. I'm hoping that maybe they move it to Anaheim or to like Pasadena, where we had our battle hardened, which is maybe a bit farther than downtown LA, but the area is more like livable. But I'm excited to like have a pro tour close by that I don't have to fly and just.
Yeah,
It
should be. I mean, it should be cool. I mean, I will say I'm not a big fan of LA from the time I visited, but I'm glad that the West Coast is getting some more love. And sure, when Pat Shaw was on, obviously we made our case for New England because we wanted to be up there to give them some love. But I know LSS is working on it. Heavy hitters. We don't know a lot about it. We're not gonna go deep into it, but before we get to the fresh faves, I want to hear at least one speculation from you, some thought you've had about heavy hitters since you heard about it. What do you expect to see from that set?
Just seeing, I mean, we saw only 3 cards, and it felt it's like similar to what was Outsiders, that you have like, so maybe the double hero, but I hope they don't do like double hero. I don't know why. But I feel like my speculation is there's gonna be a triple class card.
Oh yeah, like a gladiator hero can play warrior, brute, and guardian attacks or cards.
Yeah, why not? Or maybe a card that you can play it in any of those 3 classes.
That would be cool. We didn't get one of those for Outsiders, right? We only got dual class. We didn't get a triple class, right?
Correct.
Now's the time. Now is heavy hitters is the time now. But hey, listen. I mean, I'm excited for heavy hitters. I don't know what it was going to bring, but I know 3 things for sure. It has 3 classes that people are itching to play again. It has dual class cards, which I think was a hit in Outsiders. And I think Outsiders was a big success, and hopefully it can match that, maybe even beat it. And there's going to be a Codex of Brutality or something like that, which would be pretty neat. Now, fresh faves, bright lights, brand new mech set, ton of new mech cards. I know you're all over it. Let's hear what your favorite cards are from the set. First, who is your favorite hero from Bright Lights?
I think this is the hardest one of the fresh faves, because I like all of them for different reasons. My big hope was for Teklovossen to be good, but I don't know. I like all of them, but if I had to pick one, probably like Teklovossen, just because of the ability playing with like pieces of mech suit and just changing them for your needs. I think that's probably my answer.
I mean, I will say, as not good as Teklovossen is in constructed, seemingly, is very good in the limited format. So when you get to draft it, you'll feel the true power of Teklovossen.
I mean, it's probably good in CC too, because I feel like a lot of the heroes that we play, I feel like this is like a tangent, a patrol tangent. So I feel like a lot of the heroes are like underexplored, because like a lot of testing team kind of avoid testing all of the heroes. They just test what's good and trying to improve what's good. So what's good gets much, much better, and what's seemingly bad is untouched.
Mhm.
Besides a couple of people trying it out and hoping it's good. But you need to have like a big test team. Like Dash.io is like, she was not good in the first few tournaments that were here in the US. And then she got second place in Melbourne, like going like 14-1. And people were saying, yeah, it's probably like not good. It's hard to build, or it's like not waste the energy. And then some people believed in it, and turns out to be a good deck. So I feel like also another time, like Brian Gottlieb said, the Prism is actually really good, the new Prism, but nobody figured it out yet.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's where people put their time. I mean, people meaning the big teams that have time to throw away on Flesh and Blood like 4 hours per day. They can find maybe a good Teklovossen list that is probably the best deck, but we don't know yet. So I'm a believer Teklovossen is going to be a good deck eventually.
Well, I gotta say, I don't know if at this point, I used to like kind of agree, or not agree, but like hold out hope for the new Prism. I know Brian was always talking about, oh, nobody's figured it out. Nobody's figured it out. I think it's time to hang it up, Brian. Nobody's figuring it out. It's not good. Maybe it is.
We need hints.
Yeah. Come on. What's your list look like, Brian? Come on. All right. What's your favorite weapon from Bright Lights?
I think I like the wrench, Bansky.
Yeah. It's awesome. It's the wrench, not a gun.
As said in the release notes.
Yeah. What's your favorite equipment? We have a ton of options this time because we have all the Evos as well as the other equipment as well.
I really like adaptive plating. It's just a block for 1 or 3. Most of the times it's blocks for 3, which is really powerful.
Damn. Really cool design. I'm really interested as to why it can switch slots. I'm sure that will come up in the future. I'm guessing. I'm not sure.
I don't know. I was discussing one with my Lexi opponent. Is also a judge. Before our like top 8 match, like we're trying to figure out, and I think my idea is that you have fabricate.
Mm-hmm.
So if you break your arms and you have in hand a new leg piece, you can move the adaptive plating from the legs to the arms, fabricate, and get the new, like the base legs, and so you can put the legs on top. I think that's the only reason I can think of.
Currently, yeah. So obviously that could change, but yeah, I guess that works. I mean, it's very convoluted and probably won't come up that often because I think if you're playing Teklo, I mean, I guess you don't have to play Teklo to play Fabricate, right? So I guess, yeah, I don't know. It seems like a lot. Seems like a lot now.
Yeah, that's the only reason I could think of.
Yeah. And what's your favorite run-of-the-mill card? Non-attack action, attack action, instant item, block card. What's your favorite card from the set?
I think I Twin Drive probably, just because enable more consistency on maximum velocity, and also you can have Pulse Wave Harpoon being one more boost, so they need to show you an extra card and you can reach the threshold of the 3 blocks.
It's a great answer. Twin Drive didn't it spike in price like to $40 or something like that? I heard.
I don't know. I opened 2 and I bought 1. I think it was like $30 on release date.
Oh my god. Yeah, I mean the card is good. The card is good. Now, let's talk about mech because big mech set, and until this weekend, we did not really see. I mean, we saw a little bit of OG Dash doing some stuff, but we didn't really see the true power of Bright Lights until this past weekend. So let's go through each Mechanologist hero. I'm gonna you tell me what it got from the set, and where you think its power level is going forward. So let's start with the deck that you probably know the best. OG Dash, the Inventor Extraordinaire. Start with an item. What from Bright Lights, and you mentioned it briefly, what from Bright Lights really is helping this deck? And is it the best version of Dash, you think?
So you got the Twin Drive, which I think makes the deck much more consistent. And then you get a good amount of like 3 attacks for 0 and 4 attack for 1 resource that you can like change around. And then you got some cute, I would say, utility pieces like backup protocols and TikTok if you want to play in the mirror match. So you got a couple of new cute tools. I don't know if they're good or not. I'm not too much convinced, but I feel like the original Dash is probably still better than Dash.io overall. Just I think it is more consistent. You have a much more streamlined deck. You actually can block, and you don't have like items in hand that can be a liability. You have less explosive turns than Dash.io, but overall you have consistently powerful turns.
Yeah, it's a proven deck. You know, even in the past season, we saw Dash kind of spike some tournaments here and there, and it can only get better, right? You know, obviously the meta could not be kind to it, but that doesn't mean the deck doesn't get a little bit better. Are there any items that you foresee yourself putting out first from Bright Lights with Dash's hero ability?
I don't think so.
Yeah, not a lot of great options. They all seem to be for Dash.io, who we should talk about right now because you mentioned it, 14-1. It was like undefeated on the day, right? And and then just lost in the finals,
Yes.
which is pretty incredible for a deck that nobody saw coming. That's for sure. And what are your impressions of this Dash.io deck? Is this something when you saw Dash.io is like, oh, this is what I would have expected this deck to look like? Or was this like some true creativity coming from this player, which I should know the name. I'm blanking on it right now. It's very late here in Jersey.
I'm bad with names, I don't remember. So while you look up the name, I think the Dash.io, their list was quite interesting. But I feel like with the deck, you need to run really hot to go for 14 or even just go like 7-0 and then 1. You need to run really hot because you need to have the right items at the right time. And also you have to have a good, nice build. I feel like they spent a lot of time building it and like sequencing and perfecting the play patterns of it. But sometimes you actually need to run hot to like hit the boom grenades when you need them and when they don't have an empty hand, and not hit it when they could fully block it, and then your boom grenade is just like a go again. Get the item and go again.
Yeah,
But
and the name is Thomas Dowling, by the way.
I do like that the deck abuses a lot of like extra action points, so you can shoot the pistol multiple times. So hitting like couple of like rank items, you are able to like shoot with the pistol twice per turn, and then if you have like high octane, you just go crazy.
Now, here's a question for you in terms of this deck. Big surprise at the calling. Also, the last major tournament of Lexi's career in CC. We're about to enter Worlds. Are we going to see a huge spike in this deck at Worlds? And is it going to perform well now that people expect it?
I think we will see some people switching to it. I don't know if it's gonna perform as well as it happened in Melbourne. But I saw like looking at the list right now, there is like some interesting choices that would be crazy. But the person like actually posted a X thread about all the changes they would make and how they were testing going forward. So I would see at least people trying it out before playing it in the Pro Tour. But I don't think that the Shayo will perform well. I don't know. It's my feelings like you need to have a good amount of things going well for this deck.
What would you say the bad matchups are?
They said that Uzuri was a bad matchup, and I think Bravo they said was a bad matchup. I don't know. I haven't played with this deck, but feels like you can fatigue pretty quickly
Yeah.
with it because you use like 5 cards hand for 4 to 6 cards hand depending on what's the top of your deck is, and you have Tom of Fandel too, which you draw a lot of cards, so you can like run out of deck really fast.
Yeah. I mean, that's always been the problem when you're boosting, right? And that's why the title of this episode is to boost or not to boost, because when you boost, you get fatigued pretty easily sometimes. Now, let's move to Teklo. You think he could be really good, right?
I hope it could be really good. But
No,
I remember like seeing the
it.
data. I remember it's like people were like trying to build with it. Also, I was chatting with like Jesse, the Orc Knight, trying to build a Teklo Vassen list, and it's like, and then it's like we try. It's like it seems a bit clunky, but maybe there's something there. And then like somebody posted like a Talishar like win rate of the hero, and it was like abysmal. It was like no positive matchups. But I mean, also was like beginning of the format where like people were like trying out random stuff. But yeah, there was like in the best matchup was maybe like a 30% win rate or something like that.
Oof. It's so weird. I mean, I guess it's good that not every hero is the best hero we've ever seen, ever, never. And Teklo's certainly super flavorful, and maybe that's where he lives. And obviously, our friend Gary, Mr. Viz, is very high on Professor Teklo, in Blitz, but we're sticking to mostly CC here. But yeah, it's weird because it has this really powerful effect on the hero ability. Feels almost like this weird amalgamation of like Kano and Chain playing from the Banished Zone, but it just can't seem to. Maybe it's just too clunky. It's just too clunky because Flesh and Blood can be a very fast game. It needs a very slow meta, I guess. Does that sound like it would be the right place for Teklo?
Yeah, also one thing like that's why Gary like switched to Professor instead of regular Teklevasen is because their best Evos cost 4, which is a weird cost. Whether with Professor, if you play it in Blitz, they cost only 3, which is more manageable. Because if costing 4, it's like you need to play either a Tunic as this chess piece to just get a resource, but then you cannot play your evils in your chest unless you like fabricate afterwards. But yeah, like the costing 4 for like your best evils is really awkward, which makes probably one of the main reasons why Teklo Vossen is clunky, because the evil steel are like 4 costs, and then you have some of them that are 2 costs, and you need to assemble them also pretty quickly, because otherwise you're kind of like naked and you need to use cards from your hand to like survive to build, but then you need cards to pay resources to build, so that's probably rough. Because also like the most powerful cards like the Terminator tank and friends, you kind of need to have like at least have 3 evils equipped to be somewhat effective.
Yeah,
Which is rough.
it is, and maybe it's like sure, like the best evos are the expensive ones, but maybe you just gotta turbo out the cheap evos and just try to like control the game with the tanks and stuff. It's hard to say, but it's weird, but it's okay because it seems like Dash.io is competitive, and the next hero made it into the top 8 as well. I did not get to see the list. I'd be really interested to see the list. Max Nitro. Max the Hype Nitro. I'm sorry for all the Max the Hype Nitro fans out there. It is my favorite hero out of Bright Lights. And I love the hyperdriver synergies and fun stuff you can do with it. What's your take on Max the Hype Nitro?
I do like Max. Max like seems pretty cool because you can play this. I feel like it's probably more like, I think Max is what I hoped Teklovosen to be. Because you can play this somewhat like control the game with some boost attacks and set up your hyperdrivers. I don't think you want to play hyperdrivers in your deck. You just want to get them from his ability, and then slowly like building up to the 3 hyperdrivers, and then use the construct nitro mechanoid to like finish out the game. I think I like Max. I haven't tried it yet, but the idea of the deck is what Teklo was, and what I was hoping it was. And looking at the list right now from Joel Gibbons, that got the 5th place in Melbourne, looks pretty solid, and also has like a decent like cyber plan that doesn't involve the nitro mechanoid.
Yeah, it's hard to totally commit to the Nitro Mechanoid. I played around with that deck a little bit, and it is the easiest deck to get the mech out, no doubt, right? It's just because you can create the hyperdrivers, and it's super cool. To me, like Max Nitro feels, and maybe I'm a little bit off base here, but it feels like a brute deck in a way to me, because you can do these like really high rate go again like attacks, get the resources back from your hyperdrivers so that they're even better rate, so that you can kind of go like, you know, a 2 for 6 into another like 1 for 5 after that, which I think can be a really brutal attack if we get to a point in the meta where we're only seeing like, you know, Kodachis and threes and stuff like that. You're going to overpower your opponent if they're going to try to out aggro you, I think. So it's interesting. I don't know if the mech is the way to go, but there's a lot of potential just in being able to create the hyperdrivers, I think, anyway.
Yes. Also, I'm looking at the list of the 5th place, and he's not playing Bansky, he's playing the pistol.
He's playing the
plasma pistol.
That's interesting. Huh. I wonder why that is.
Yeah, I think they mentioned something during the interview, but I was kind of tuned out and I was watching two things at the same time. But I think there was a reasoning why they were playing only with pistol and not Bansky. But I feel like with Bansky, it's like you can get the counters back on the hyperdriver, so you can keep them around to get to the third one.
Yeah. Oh, I guess also Banksy does require you to crank to even be able to attack. So like if your plan is to kind of build up the hyperdrivers, like you need to crank and then attack and hope it hits so you can get the counter back, and the breakpoint's not there. To be honest, I could honestly see Max be a deck with the what the heck is it from Dynasty, the shotgun.
Hanabi Blaster?
Hanabi Blaster. I could see Max being a good Hanabi Blaster deck with the amount of boosting, but once you do that amount of boosting, you're totally in a position where to easily get fatigued out. So it's a little bit tough to say, but overload on the Hanabi Blaster is not the worst either. But I think we'll see where Max ends up. I think he's got a lot of potential. I want to see some really fun stuff with him. I mean, I know the Nitro Mechanoid is really fun, but I think there's something there that we haven't seen yet, because there's a lot of cool stuff going on with Max, and like I want to see people blow up a ton of hyperdrivers and do the moonshot attack. I mean, that seems like the most fun thing you can do. Now, Data Doll, Kappolo, the Blitz hero, the right there on camera right now, Data Doll. You feel like I feel like you're pretty hype on Data Doll after this set.
Yes, you got a lot of new items, which are like some of them quite good, and the adaptive plating is actually helping her a lot, because having 3 intellect is like you cannot block.
Yeah.
Basically all the cards that are in your hand are for your boosting and like resources, and you want to protect yourself with items and adaptive plating. I did the math that is coming out in my video, but in my current list, I can prevent 33 damage with items and equipment while enacting the plan.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Is Data Doll gonna hit Living Legend in one skirmish season because of your video? If you get it out before skirmish season,
I don't think so. I think Data Doll is still like highly unreliable. You need to kind of get a microprocessor quite early in the game to be more consistent. I mean, you can high roll also without the microprocessor, but I think that's kind of the item that glues the deck a bit more. because if you have a bad hand of only items, at least microprocessor lets you like just draw one extra card, and then you can maybe find a boost attack, so you can hit one of the items and then just like banish with the Technofoundry Heart, maybe get more items. But yeah, it's like I feel like the built-in protection with all the defensive items is quite good, plus the adaptive platings, and you have Crown of Providence and Technofoundry Heart, so you have good amount of defense, and then you have really good offensive cards too. But I feel like it's so inconsistent. It's very inconsistent, but when it works, it's really, really good.
Well, I'm certainly excited to see the video that you do, because I'm not a data doll believer per se. I played one team event at, I think it was Vegas. It was myself, Logan Peterson, and Salty Sea Cat. Shout out Salty Sea Cat, who was living the data doll dream. It was Team Blitz. Certainly, I mean, poor Logan was dealing with, he was on Kasai and I was on Levia, and Salty Sea Cat Anthony was on Data Doll. So it was a ragtag group, but you know, I got to sit next to some Data Doll matches, and I was like, it can be really cool, and I've seen it be really cool, but man, 3 cards is so tough. And but
Yeah.
with the new cards, I want to see. I want to be a believer. I want you to change my mind, and I think you will, because why not? You are the Swiss prophet after all. Now, are you ready for some listener questions?
Let's do them.
The first comes from. What?
No, I actually haven't I just glanced through them when they were in the chat, but I don't know anything, so I need to make up answer from my brain.
That's okay. We'll figure it out. And you know, the first one comes from Pat Shaw, who we both know to be Pat Shaw, who asks, "Are the backup protocols just insane? Should I be running these in every mech deck? Or them and Boom Grenades just now cards mech should play now?"
Backup protocols are not insane. I think the red is playable, but it costs you a blue and an item to get back on a red attack, which could be cool. I feel like the red is decent. I wouldn't play the yellow or the blue ones. So and also probably would not play them in every mech deck. I saw Matthew McGuinness. I don't know how to say his last name.
Charles McGinnis is Matthew, but I once called him Charles, and now I feel like I should call him Charles all the time. But yes, what did Matthew McGinnis do?
He played with the backup protocols in regular Dash.
Interesting.
And but I think the red is probably playable if you expect fatigue, but I'm not convinced about them. I'd rather have like my Streamlight deck that with cards that actually block when I have to block with. And Boom Grenades, I don't. They're like really good in Dash.io and Data Doll, but I don't think you should play them in original Dash or Max or Teklovasen.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I really like the blue black backup protocol in Dash.io, right? And I like it in limited too, but I just like the things you can do with the blue one, especially when you're facing disruption, or if you just want to ramp. It's kind of fun if you get it out there, and you can pop it to get another blue and still be up a resource, which is pretty good. But yeah, I don't think that I can't really see them playing well into the other heroes either. But you know, it's still very cool cards. We like a little bit of recursion here and there. Next question comes from William from the Table Pit. Shout out, William. Is the new aggro-io inconsistent or wildly difficult? Thomas Dowling made it look easy, yet I've seen many people struggle with it.
So I think the Dash.io is really difficult to play well. That's probably why a lot of people are struggling with it. But yeah, Thomas had pretty good draws and he played well also. So I think, and also probably, I don't know if it's like super inconsistent, but it's not, you need the things to line up somewhat decent to be good.
Yeah, I think right now we're recording Monday evening. The tournament was just yesterday, ended, right? I mean, people saw the deck 2 days ago and started building it. Thomas was playing with the deck for weeks and built it and obviously mastered it because it did so well with it, right? I think that it has to be it seems like a very intricate and difficult deck. I think that is probably what we're seeing with people struggling with it. But that doesn't mean, it's only been a couple days. Give it a couple more days, maybe a week or two, we could see people start to yield the same kind of results, not the same result. I don't think everybody's going to just start getting second at callings, but we'll see. Now, the last question, or I should say questions, come from Greg, aka Darth Prentice. First one, he says boost or boost?
Boost.
All right, that one was easy. Also, what is the best card of each rarity from Bright Lights?
So for the Fabled, we have only one, is Master Cog.
Yes.
For the Legendary, I think my thing is Adaptive Plating. I think that card is gonna help a lot the Mechanologist going forward. Then for Majestic, probably the Twin Drive. I kind of feel like I'm just gonna repeat everything. For the rare, let me just look it up. I forgot the name of the card.
The rare
is
Ratchet Up
Polarity Reversal Script. This one.
Oh, an item. Okay.
I found it like really powerful just because it makes all of the cards that block your attacks have one less defense.
That is good.
And I've been enjoying it a lot in Datadol. And for common, I think Boom Grenade is just like...
It's very good.
Yeah.
And speaking of common, Greg also asked, of the 3 new heroes, which hero is the most viable in commoner?
I feel like Teklevassen doesn't have anything for commoner. Mm-hmm. So not that one. I don't know between Max and Dash. I feel like probably Max has I feel like you can build a more like consistent deck and just like get some extra resources from the hyperdrivers you create. Because like Dash.io, I feel like the common items in the set are really good. So you have so many good common items. So Dash.io could be good as well, but I feel like I would be like Max Nitro if I had to pick between the 3.
Yeah, I would go with Max Nitro as well. I would say. But jamming out Boom Grenades in Commoner also sounds pretty fun.
Boom Grenade, if it hits, is really big smack in the face.
Yeah, which is huge. Like in Commoner, where the margins are a little bit thinner, and you're trying to gain an edge in all kinds of ways. Now, this was fun, Kappolo, of course, and we have reached the end of the show. I need you to right now plug everything you need to plug. And thank you for coming on, my friend.
Thanks for inviting me. It's always fun to chat with you and catch up in our busy life for an hour is always great.
Yeah.
So plugging, I have my Twitter and X and YouTube under the same username, that is Kappolo, Kappolo, and that's basically everything I should plug. Yes,
Yeah.
I have also a TikTok account, but I forgot what the username is.
It's Flesh and Blood News, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It
I
pops up
haven't
on my
uploaded.
feed.
I haven't uploaded anything in a long time, but yeah. Like whenever I have a crazy idea to do like a short or something, I put it up there.
Well, I hope everybody checks out Kappolo's YouTube, because even going back to the beginning, it's a great resource for Mechanologist, text and basically anything Mechanologist, and also some funny shorts as well. And yeah, it's the best. You can continue to find me on Twitter at freshbudspod. Check out the Buds Discord. Check out the Patreon, YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. Check out my other podcast I do with my cousin Matty Juice, which is Fresh Juice. It's an indie game podcast. We review indie games, video games. You can catch some questions on there from Kappolo, and maybe even Dead Summer Art this week, which is pretty fun. And finally, Cap, food. We both love food. We are lovers of food. What kind of food do you want to talk about to send us home and to bed?
I don't know. Give me a category. Narrow it down. I could talk about.
Your lovely fiance. Her family makes some great food. Talk about your favorite thing she's made, or her family.
I mean, I think I have to talk about the classic Puerto Rican food, that is pernil with arroz con andule. Because it's like it's pork that, like, the outside, the skin is like really, really crispy, and the inside is like really soft and delicious. and then it comes with rice with beans, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And they usually do it for like big occasion, like Thanksgiving and Christmas. And I'm always happy to eat that. It's like so delicious.
That does sound very, very good. I love arroz con pollo, but with a little pork, I'll mess with some pork as well. Oh man, well, all that talk about Puerto Rican food has made me realize that we do not have time for Charmer this week. So, everybody, thank you for listening. Stay fresh, stay juicy, and see you later.
Bye bye.